Today we are discussing about comparison of implementations. So the last session we have seen different implementation options of access matrix. That is, we discussed about as a global table which is having triples, domain, object, and write set as a complete set. Then we have seen access list, nothing but each object is having its own access list, individual access list. Third option as a capability list against lock and keys in the form of locks and keys. So we'll compare each other and fine tune. So the major things is supposed to consider individually is, so global table is looks like very simple but can be large. So what are the simplicity is, it is nothing but in the form of a table, say something like a lookup table. For each and every time we can have a look. So which and all the objects are having which and all permission on which objects. As global tables implemented in the form of triples, three columns in general. If you say first column domain, second column object, third column the rights set or permissions. Looks like very simple, but it can be large. So how this size can be measured? Based on your machine. So your machine may be having more number of IO input output devices. Consider keyboard, mouse, mic, joystick, monitor. You may connect one extra additional larger monitor. You may have printer is connected. You may have speakers are connected. You may have plotters are connected. Right. Different input output. And you have processor as well. Then you might have installed more than 100 applications, individual applications in your machine. Each and every applications you installed. So now the major task or weightage is given for this particular global table. Say you considered global table to represent this access path or access permissions. So according to that, each individual domain is given access with the access permissions for each individual object as in global table. So now if this is the situation, the weightage or headache is very large because the headache or pressure is more on RAM. So with all these, still you are trying to manage with your RAM, say consider 1 GB or 2 GB. Then your machine will become very slow, very difficult to boot up, take much time to boot up, much time to react for each and every interrupt. Each application will load by around 2 to 3 minutes, by taking 2 to 3 minutes, so that the speed may be reduced. So now the trade-off or demerit weightage is the size of the table. So based on the number of devices you have, IO devices, number of hardwares and softwares you have in your machine. So otherwise, it is very simple, very easy. If you have very less IO devices, very less softwares in your machine, then we can go with global table, direct shoot. Second, with the access lists are based on the needs of users, because each user may not be given access for all the objects. Saying that with respect to access list, we'll have a list against each object with domain name, domain, and write permissions or write sets, right? So determining a set of access rights for domain non-localized. So it is very difficult. So now the point over here is, it is very difficult to determine what are the access rights can be given for which and all the objects, or which and all objects can have access permissions for which and all domains. Identifying is very difficult, right? Consider the same situation, your laptop setup itself. You have number of input output devices, you have plenty of softwares. So now access permissions you have going to do with the access list. So now you don't know when you want the permission for which individual domain, for each individual object. It is very difficult to edit that permissions once you start using this access list. Each and every time it is very difficult to look after each individual access permissions with each individual objects. So that is what this particular point says. So if it is non-localized, then it is difficult. On the other hand, we can say if you are not an administrator for that particular machine, you are not allowed to do this access permission exercise. You cannot modify. So every access to an object must be checked each and every time. Whether that particular object is having a permission for that, each and your do the exercise each and every time. The headache is more. Automatically when this load is more, the speed will reduce, because you have many number of objects, many access rights with each individual domains. Each and every domain have to check with this access list because it is ordered. You cannot run for exactly, you may not be knowing the domain number individually. So each and every list must be checked against this one, so that it will be very slow. It will become very slow. Your machine will become very slow. And this particular exercise, looking after proper access rights, all those things again become slow. Your entire operation becomes so slow, so that your laptop or computer will also become slow. So that is the headache or demerits. Next one is capability list. So it is very useful for localizing information for a given process, because we are paired key value pairs, something like key and locks pairs. So capability list is nothing but we are supposed to set up in the form of keys and locks. So it is very useful when you localize the information. And one thing you're supposed to remember is revocation capabilities can be inefficient, because once you give an access to pair, then it is very difficult to revoke. On the other hand, you're supposed to forget. So you can say lock key is effective, flexible, and keys can be passed freely from domain to domain and easy revocation. On the other hand, you can consider Bluetooth as an example. As we discussed, you can, as you are trying to send a photograph from your mobile to your laptop. So once initial stage, at once, only once initially, if you set up this matching or pairing via Bluetooth, then automatically no need to set again and again with these two devices. Automatically recognize automatically. So that's what we are trying to say in this sub point. So whenever you say consider you sold your laptop or you sold your mobile phone, you forgot to revoke this one. Then if you try to send your valuable photo or information with your laptop, automatically the laptop will be received, because you didn't revoke that particular access permission. No, that's why. So that is the problem. That's why it may become inefficient. But it is very effective, flexible, and you can easily pass. Right? This is what we observe. And some of the or most of the systems use combination of access list and capabilities. So both these things can be installed in most of the systems. So how it works? First, access to an object with the access list. That is first level of security. Second level, if it is allowed, capability is created and attached to the process. Then if there is a need, additional accesses need not be checked. So after last access, capability is destroyed. So this is how it works. So each and every time we can go with this combination setup, combi setup of access list and capability list. Access list is nothing but each object is having set of domain with their right set permissions. Capability is nothing but key and lock pair. We can have combination of these two. How we can make the combination? First, we supposed to go with the access list, that is object with their access list. If it is okay, if that security level is okay with that, then again implement with the capability list. That is how the combination works. So that is the comparison. So now this is this combi of these access list and capabilities are more suitable for most of the systems. So in general, we may go with this kind of capability, this kind of setup. So here the advantages are it is serial. However, because we access list are stored in the form of ordered list only, it is sorted. So we are checking one by one. Once it is access list is cleared, automatically Second attempt is key and lock pairs. If you already set up initially, then no need to worry. You can easily transfer, you can easily control. So all these factors come to picture. So when we have combi kind of setup. I hope I cleared your doubts. So these are the differences with the implementations of access list. So the next topic is revocation of access right. So revocation, when there is no need of that particular supervision kind of privileges, or then at that time we can try to revoke or recall the access rights which is already given. So when we say revocation, there are various options. Options in the sense to remove or to delete. So when we say, when we can use the term remove in the sense, so if you are gone with the type of implementation, say global table, then you can remove rows one by one or number of rows as you selected. On the other hand, you can delete the access list, entire access list. If you are implemented using access list, you can easily delete. So that is, please careful about using the terminology as well. Removing access permission, deleting access permission, and modifying. So there are different terminologies that we use. Even every terms are important when you answer in your exams. Removing, you are not deleting. Removing is only one particular row you are trying to remove it. Deleting, you are removing entire thing, list itself. Can remove one by one row, or each row can be deleted at one time, or entire table can be deleted. So now the various options are, one is immediate versus delayed, selective versus general, partial versus total, temporary versus permanent. So immediate versus delayed in the sense, for example, consider a table. You have 5 entries in the table, 5 rows with say 5 columns. You can remove one particular row. Consider if you set up access permission or access right in the form of tables, then you can remove each individual domain setup, each individual row. Row will have triples, domain, object, and right set. So you can remove one by one. That is immediate. Or on the other hand, you can delay it. You can set up a time. You can make delaying, saying that whenever you restart your machine, at that time all those right permissions should be set to default. So that is delayed. Or you can delay while performing restart as well, saying that while you perform restart or when your system goes to shutdown mode or after the restart, second restart, then only whatever the right permission you already set, that is access rights, can be got removed. That is delayed. Immediate is immediate, you are trying to remove, select, press delete button. Delayed, you can set up a time, like in BIOS setup you can do these exercises. Second one is selective. Selective is only few selected. Only for few selected domains you wanted to remove or revoke the permission. Or if you are implemented using access list, then only for few objects you can remove the revocation. Selective, that is selective. You can select something, some set of objects, and you can remove. Second part is general. General in the sense, if you have set up default set of values, then you can easily remove it. The default values can be revoked. On the other hand, you can set up using BIOS, using saying that you can set up the permissions, user permissions, general. In general, we can say read permission can be given for everyone. On the other hand, only for selective people also. That is how this revocation access rights works. Then is partial. Some part of the domain will access the some part of the object. And total, complete. Consider a situation. You have 10 pages of Microsoft document, some document you have. So now for your friend, you are allowing only the first page should be read by your friend. Rest of the page should be hidden. So that is partial. So you are giving access to your friend, so he can perform read operation only on first page. So the object is your document, permission is read. To whom? The domain, your friend. Total, you can give entire thing to your friend, you can mail it to him, he can do whatever he want. That is total. So entire ownership is you are transferred to your friend, that is total. So he can transfer, he can copy, he can modify, he can delete, he can execute whatever things he wanted to do, he can perform. That is total permission. You are saying that you can do whatever you want. That is total. Next one is temporary versus permanent. Temporary is for only for a particular period of time. You can allow or you can remove the access. Consider the situation. Consider a situation for initial 1 hour in a lab, in the lab. So consider the lab timings is of 3 hours. So first 1 hour we can set up only read permission on your lab, on the computer. Second hour onwards, you can we are giving write and execute permission. So now this is temporary. First one is temporary read permission because you're supposed to glance your previous lab exercise and then you are trying to do today's exercise that is in the lab. So first part is reading. So we are revoking that particular read operation temporarily until you log in again. Next one is permanent. We removed everything, we allowing everyone to do anything on every objects. That is permanent. Revoked everything, just removing access permissions. Or if you already given access permission for everyone, for everything, so we can remove that one, saying that only some restriction can be given only for read permission. So this is the different types of revocation to an object. Then if we are implemented via using access list, so we can perform deletion, delete access rights from that access list. So entire thing is deletion. With respect to global table, we can perform removing. With respect to access list, we are going to delete it. That's what I highlighted initially. Please remember the terminology that we use. So access list can be deleted. Entire list can be deleted. So that it is very simple. You can search access list and remove entry. So I remove entry for a particular domain, particular object. Again, you can perform immediate, general or selective, total or partial, permanent or temporary. So all this can also be performed. With this, with the previous case, or in general, we can have remove the access rights, immediate, delayed, selective, general, partial versus total, temporary versus permanent. But with the access list, we can only delete. Even deletion also in the form in a form of removing or revocating the access rights. Now coming to the capability list, we should have a scheme. We should have a proper syntax. It is required to locate capability in the system before capability can be revoked, because the capability list is made up of key and lock pairs. In such a case, we are supposed to identify which of the locks is having which of the keys. There is nothing but key lock pair. So once we have this kind of setup, initially we are supposed to locate. The locating in the sense which of the locks can have which proper keys in the form of domains, objects, and write list. Right. So this is how it works. So now, when we say we wanted to revoke some of the right, saying that is supposed to remove the keys. So now, how to do that? We have some steps. Some steps should be followed. So the steps is necessary because it's supposed to identify exact keys and locks. Then you're supposed to identify which capability list we wanted to revoke. That's why more weightage is given in this case. Because in a system, if we are implemented the access rights using capability list, then revocating also takes much time. So how to do with that? There are few steps. The steps are reacquisition, back pointers, indirection, and keys. Reacquisition in the sense periodic delete with require and denial of revoke. So now periodic delete is periodically you can set up a particular time to revoke the particular keys from the logs, and if it is already done, you should deny. Understood the situation? Consider you have a bike with you. You started from home. Started in the sense you have a bike in your shed, bike shed, and you went near your bike because you decided to go out. So you forgot the key in your home. So what you do? You may ask your mom or your brother or sister or your dad or someone to get the keys. So now consider the situation example. You supposed to get the key at that time while collecting the key from your parents or brothers or sisters. They may ask you a condition with the condition saying that you should be reached back or you have to come back within 30 minutes. Then only they are going to give a keys. That is periodic delete. You'll set up the period. They are going to set up the time limit. Only for 30 minutes you are given the in charge or you are given access to the particular object, saying that you can perform anything on that particular object within that particular period of time. After that, automatically the access rights are revoked. That is what this particular point says. Periodic delete. So each and every time for only 30 minutes the access is given. After that it is revoked. And if already deleted, you can apply denial. You can say I already gave the keys, then why are you asking me? So you can ask like that. That is reacquisition, just as an example. Okay, so if we relate the same thing with our computer machine or laptop is, you can set up downloads in midnight at 12 o'clock, saying that you may get a highest speed because everyone is sleeping, so that you can make use of internet. So that is how you can set up periodic updates, even updates also. Operating system updates can set up periodically. On the other hand, in general, if you consider WhatsApp, you can set up backup periodic update for every day, every week, every month, 15 days, like that. That is periodic, right? Periodically or for every 15 days, you are given access for your entire WhatsApp content to WhatsApp company, say Facebook. After that, you can revoke. That is how it works. Then second step is back pointers. Here, back pointers are nothing but it is set of pointers from each object to all capabilities of that object. We know multics, nothing but set of rings. We have seen that diagram. The core ring will have all those complete security, outer core little bit, again little bit, and so on. Rings. Multics are nothing but rings, rings of protection. So now we can set up pointers from each object to all capabilities. So you are supposed to log in to the outer environment, then inner. Each and everything is supposed to make login or any other credentials you support to set up. So now, how to revoke this one? We'll just revoke it saying that you are not allowed. That's it. So that set of pointers from each object, because there is a link, something like transitive rule, you can say. Right. Third point is indirection. Indirection is in with respect to capability list, which points to global table entry, which points to object. Right. So on the other hand, if it is either a capability list or access list, something looks like a global table only because we have some set of values which is related with each domain. So now the thing is, We can delete the entry from global table, but not selective. That is indirection. Whenever you delete, everything got deleted. There is no option at all. You can make a select and delete. That is indirection. Then we can have unique bits associated with the capability generated when capability is created. That is keys. So now what we can do is we can create another key, another set of key saying that master key associated with the object. Key matches master key for access. So superior. So master key by default has entries for every object, has all the permissions. Automatically when the master key is revoked, everything is revoked. Right. So by creating a master key, we can revoke. So now the dilemma or ambiguity or doubt may arise is who will create and modify the keys, whether the object owner or somebody else. That is the doubt may arise. So now major thing is based on the machine, you may give a rights to operating system as an administrator. Operating system by default will create all those keys for all the objects. On the other hand, you may give somebody else as an authority. Somebody else or others in the sense it may be a different application. It may be some different application so that that particular application may control all rest of those. So that is the policy decision. Coming to the role-based access control. Any doubt? Sorry. Any doubt in the previous revocation set of thing? Any doubt? So if you have any doubts, you can get back to me. Okay. Any doubts?